And we are live. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Okay, 1 second. I'm going to move some windows around. And already we have some. So E just became a member. Thank you for coming on board to Liberty Politics. As did Dana Janusewski. So thank you also for coming on. And Bobo, always reliable with the super chat. Thank you, Bobo. How harmful is the CIS letter to Trump? So before, you know what the CIS letter is, and I know what the CIS letter is, but do you want to clarify why do you think it's harmful to Trump specifically? I can say why it would be harmful to Netanyahu or to the Israeli government, but why? What makes you think it would be harmful to Trump? So I'll wait for Bobo to respond. Okay, I mean, so far people are coming in slowly. Hello, hello, everyone. We're about to start. I'm going to give it a couple minutes. Okay, and a follow-up question. So we're going to talk about this topic, like properly. Is CIS equal? Does CIS equal Israel's deep state or just old farts? It's sort of something in the middle. So okay, so first of all, what is the CIS? Before we get into other news, what is the CIS letter? So the Commanders for Israel's Security is a group of security officials from the past that come from Israel's security establishment. So I'll go to their website. Let's see how they define themselves first. About us. Okay, so I'm on their website. Commanders for Israel's Security is a movement of over 550 retired IDF colonels and generals, as well as Mossad, Shin Bet, police, NSC, and diplomatic corps equivalents. And our mission, in fact, CIS prides itself on the fact that our members are all volunteers who seek no reward beyond the knowledge that they place their experience and expertise at the service of securing our country's future for the coming generations. Our members are committed to securing Israel's future as the strong democratic home of the Jewish people. And this is the key. CIS views separation from the Palestinians, leading to an eventual two-state solution, as a most essential condition for a secure future, and is convinced that the continued slide towards a one-state reality jeopardizes that vision and must be reversed. So, buried under all that is essentially this is a group of people who really think that the two-state solution is a necessary condition for the security of Israel. And as such, it's essentially a political organization of former security officials. The reason so many security officials have a very strong political opinion could be one of two things. One, anyone who's an expert on Palestinian issues eventually ends up coming to the conclusion that the two-state solution is the right one. That's what I used to think. That's the way I used to say, well, all these security experts hold the same opinion. And then I learned a little bit about how bias works, expertise, funneling works, meaning how is the self-selection within these organizations works. And so it's not necessarily that if you're an expert, you must believe in a two-state solution, but instead, as a precondition to becoming an expert, like a high-level official, you must believe in the two-state solution. And that's true for many points of expertise with regards to like in general in academia as well. You have very siloed departments, and it also varies by university. So, for example, the psychology department in Hebrew University is very anti-Freudian, and the department in Tel Aviv University is very Freudian, and that just shows you, even if in something that isn't political, but just in terms of like the expertise and the strand among or within a debate, um, that these things are more political than anything else. Um, it's not that living in Tel Aviv would make you more likely to think that Freud is correct. It's that these departments and their dynamics, the dynamic systems that underline them, are self-selecting in such a way that make it so you have all the experts agreeing with each other, not because that's the expert position, but because in order to be considered to get the certificate of being an expert, you must hold that position. You must pre-hold that position. That doesn't mean it's wrong. By the way, it just means that unfortunately, when you have our frameworks for expertise, or our institutions that decide expertise, are not doing so reliably. They're doing so in a biased way. It could be the case that it happens to be the right position. It's just that unfortunately, it used to be. It's generally considered good to think that, okay, if most of the experts in a field hold similar positions, that probably means those positions are true. Unfortunately, there are inherent biases within those institutions that make it so you can't trust that. That doesn't make it false. It just makes it not as not as reliable as otherwise it should be. So, going back to your question, and giving background to the people watching, the CIS letter to Trump is a group of this organization that's pro two-state solution sent a letter to Trump before Netanyahu came, saying a bunch of experts in security from Israel are saying that the West Bank violence is destructive. It's more destructive than a bunch of other stuff. I don't remember the exact phrasing, and it was also sensationalized. Like, people misquoted it. I think it's just irresponsible to do. I mean, I understand. Okay, you have a strong position that Israel must leave the West Bank and have a two-state solution as a prerequisite for Israel's security. But sending a letter right before Netanyahu is coming to talk about Iran, it's not even talking about the West Bank. Like, the topic isn't the West Bank. It just, all it can do is derail the conversation. Now, Bobo asked me, how harmful is the letter to Trump? I don't see how it would be harmful to Trump specifically. So if you can explain why you think it would be, I'd love to know. Okay, and Soapbox is saying it is not okay that both things are biased and non-objective. They are not self-contradictory. Care to explain? Also, I'm not sure what this is in response to, so I'd love to hear what you think. Like, explain what you're talking about specifically. Hey, Shauna. Okay, I'll get to Nick in the second half because it's divisive. I think, and I'm not the first person to say this, a bunch of Israelis also might have a guest coming on, depending on traffic. He's stuck in traffic. I was going to have another very interesting Israeli, like a friend of mine, who also has some research experience and so on. Oh, sorry. So people are, tell Nick we're not taking him until he gives us back our menorah. Yeah, so a lot of people don't really want me to talk about Nick. I will briefly, at least, even if not necessarily for, like, maybe some groypers will make their way here. and I have a message for them, essentially. So for those who don't know, if you're watching this for the first time, I'm an Israeli, and I discuss geopolitics from an Israeli perspective. I'm now on Liberty Politics, which is mostly an Iranian-related channel, talking about Iran and the Iranian people and how they can escape tyranny. And I also have my own channel linked in the description for discussing geopolitics from an Israeli perspective. Okay, so first of all, let's get through. Am I a goiper? So it's not goiper, it's groiper. Although goiper, I'm sure someone can make a play on this because of goy, and they love claiming that Jews keep calling people that aren't Jewish goy as a derogative statement, which is only on the fringes. Like any society has fringes that are supremacist, as do the Jews. But it's not. People like to point to Ben Gvir as if he is representative of Israel's society. He's not. Okay, so a few interesting news items since my last stream, which was 2 days ago. Naftali Bennett has called, I think I mentioned this last time. Oh, Amberly's here. Hey, Amberly. Naftali Bennett, who is one of the people, one of the people, at least ostensibly wanting to be prime minister. Practically speaking, I don't think he has a chance. Yeah, this is Naftali Bennett. He is the leader of likely the third largest party after the elections. And he started going after Qatar. Now, it's both practically speaking a good idea and also electorally speaking a good idea. This is the first good move I feel he's made electorally. He's essentially saying, in the next government, we will declare Qatar to be an enemy state. This is a cancer metastasizing into the West, including into the prime minister's office in Israel. And that's why it's a good political idea. There is now it's a mountain out of a molehill. Some people that work under Netanyahu in the prime minister's office had some ties indirectly to Qatar to advertise the World Cup when it was there. And that's the story, and people are making of it more than it is for political reasons. To say that Qatar has infiltrated the prime minister's office and they're in cahoots with Netanyahu. They paid him off, and that's why he's doing things to support Qatar, like bombing them. And that's why, like, practically speaking, if you look at actions, there's no way you can look at the actions that the prime minister's office has been taking over the last 3 years since October 7th and say that, oh, they're clearly bought by Qatar. Now, there is one thing that arguably, that you could argue they took Qatar's point or position, and not necessarily for legitimate reasons, which is who is in charge of the negotiations about the hostages. Who's the mediator? Is it Egypt or is it Qatar? And some people within Netanyahu's office pushed for Qatar to be the mediator. And you could argue, okay, well, they have a conflict of interest there because they used to work, again, indirectly, but they used to work for Qatari interests. There might be, maybe something more will come out of it. I heard some rumblings, like, we'll see. There is a trial ongoing now for that, for those people. So far, I haven't seen like a smoking gun or something that makes me think that it was more than an indirect work for the Qataris through a separate company. And the problem with the idea that the issue is excuse me. The problem with the idea that the choice to go with Qatar was made for illegitimate reasons is that the opposition at the time also very much favored going with Qatar as the mediator. I don't remember anyone saying in real time, "Well, this is weird. Why are we going with Qatar as a mediator as opposed to Egypt?" Um, all of the people that were for the negotiations were also siding with Qatar, or siding with Qatar as the mediator. Okay. Good. So Naftali Bennett is trying to play off of that, and it's both a good idea to do, but also he's trying to then create a contrast between himself and Netanyahu, because Netanyahu is bought by Qatar. I cannot be bought. I cannot be bribed, and we should treat Qatar as an enemy state, and we should expose it as the Islamistic terror funding state that it is, because a lot of its power comes from the soft power that it can invest in Western governments, because it presents itself as peaceful, even though it's one of the most destructive countries in the world to the West. Okay. So someone in the chat is saying, B Sendall, damn, you clock out of the Iranian Revolution for 5 minutes / months, and all of a sudden Armin is some American guy with a very nice beard. Love that for us. So I'm not Armin. My beard is okay at best, and I'm also not American. So you got all three wrong. I'm Israeli. I sound American. I know I sound American. A lot of people don't believe me when I say I'm not American and I've never been to America. But yeah, I'm Israeli. I have the Israel corner of Liberty Politics. I settled Liberty Politics to have some Israeli content. And welcome aboard. So this is, I talk about geopolitics from Israeli perspective, sometimes also about philosophy, epistemology, and stuff like that. Okay. So people are saying, yeah. So Sean is asking, isn't Egypt kind of worse though? It depends. So it's really it's apples and oranges. It's not something that's very clearly you should go with Egypt as opposed to Qatar as the mediator. Egypt is less pro Hamas. Like Egypt has less direct ties with Hamas, and it's anti-Hamas, and that it didn't let Palestinians cross from Gaza to Egypt during the war because it was afraid of the refugees being Muslim Brotherhood, i.e. Hamas, and therefore taking over parts of the Sinai or increasing the Muslim Brotherhood's power in the country. And so they're against them, but at the same time, they also don't have as much leverage against them because the Hamas leadership, at least at the time, it's still the case now, but they said that they kicked them out, and I think they didn't. Now they're back, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But the Hamas leadership lived in Qatar. They were able to and eventually it worked. Like at the end of the day, because of both Turkey and Qatar agreeing to the Trump plan, that's what got all the hostages released. Like getting on board with Trump's plan. That was the thing that got the hostages released, and I don't think Egypt would have had the same kind of power over Hamas. So Egypt is more anti-Hamas, and it has positives and negatives when you're trying to negotiate a ceasefire or a hostage release. Okay. All right. So people saying they don't trust Bennett. So Bobo is saying Bennett signed a government with the Muslim Brotherhood. Yes, technically, I always say it's more complicated than that because Mansour Abbas is, at least on the surface, trying to distance himself from the Muslim Brotherhood. But like, it's not as bad as it sounds, but it is still pretty bad. At the same time, Netanyahu also wanted to sit with him. The only reason that didn't happen is because Smotrich refused, said, like, this is not going to happen. I'd rather go to another election. At the time, he was presenting himself as this revolutionary Arab leader who's willing to deal with non-Palestinian issues, just improve the lives of Arabs in Israel. And as a result, he was seen as like someone who's practically speaking, um, practically speaking, like he was the best chance at the time of making Arab Israelis like the politically something that can be worked with, as opposed to, oh, let's destroy Israel, let's eliminate all the Jews here in some way, which is the different flavors of the same thing is what the Arab parties are suggesting. Some from a secular perspective, make a secular communistic perspective, and some from an overtly nationalistic slash Islamistic perspective. Okay, so Shauna is asking, isn't Egypt more openly racist against Jews as well, though? Although the choices between Turkey and Egypt, both options suck. So you have to distinguish between the people and the leadership. Now, Qatar, the people are basically the leadership. It's a very small country. You have the citizens who are Muslims, and you have a whole bunch of essentially slave labor that are Hindu and Christians and stuff like that. Which, by the way, as a result, when Tucker Carlson says, "Oh, well, Qatar has more Christians, has an increase in Christian population over Israel, or has more Christians in Israel," um, you have to take into account that those are slave labor that often die working, and they're segregated to their own places. Whereas in Israel, the Christian community is growing, and they're equal citizens. Some of them advocate for Israel, like Yusuf Haddad, and they can get to any level of power. You had Supreme Court justices who are Christian in Israel. A Christian Arab Supreme Court justice in Israel put a sitting president behind bars. Uh, so so you have to distinguish between the people and the leadership. In Qatar, there's no difference. In Egypt, you have a practical military dictatorship of a leadership. Practical as in pragmatic. So they're pragmatic, and so they know that they require Israel to stay to prevent their economy from collapsing. And so they're going to play nice, even though the rhetoric is bad. And by the way, I think Israel should demand that the education curriculum in Egypt becomes at least somewhat less Nazi, overtly Nazi, like pro-Hitler, anti-Jewish, thinking Jews are the devil, and so on. But the leadership can be worked with, although they are amassing forces. Some are saying it's to attack us, and we should be prepared for that eventuality. And also, they need, as a result, we're talking to them about going out of the Sinai Desert, which is part of the peace agreement. They can't have forces in the Sinai Desert, or at least up to a certain point. Like they have a cap, and so they need to move their forces out. But overall, right now, they're like, you can sort of talk to them. We signed a gas agreement with them, for example, for several tens of billions of dollars. Amberly is saying Tucker Carlson doesn't care about Christians as much as he cares for Islam. But I don't think he even cares for Islam. I think he cares for Qatar. I think he's bought and paid for by Qatar. But yes, I agree with the sentiment. In Qatar, Christians are slaves. In Israel, Christians have a higher income than most Israelis. Big difference. Yes, that is. I remember seeing something vaguely about that statistic. Yeah, like it's night and day. Christians in Israel are equal citizens. In theory, you can have a Christian prime minister. It just hasn't happened yet for demographic reasons. Although I think Yusuf Haddad, theoretically, I can see a way where if he plays his cards right when he goes into politics, he's very clearly going into politics, into internal politics in Israel. But if he plays his cards right, he could be a major political figure in Israel. I don't know if he could quite make it to prime minister just because of the way the parties work, but he can be at the very least a prominent minister. Okay, so B Sendall. I think it's unfair to call any single population racist overall. It always turns out badly, as far as I know. So you can, I mean, you can look up opinion polls in Egypt about Israel, and about Jews, and it's like it's 90+%. So I'm not saying that there aren't, and I think the Coptics, for example, the Christian Coptics are an exception, but you have to understand also that their education system brainwashes them to blame all of the problems of Egypt, of which there are many, on the Jews. Okay. Another question by Bobo in a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Why don't the elite take Mordechai Kedar seriously? It's a good question. He's a very prominent. So Mordechai Kedar is a very prominent Middle Eastern scholar. He's right wing. He came up with the Emirate solution for Palestine, the 9-state solution, as it's called, where you have municipalities. So because the Palestinians have, they don't intermarry between cities, it shows you that they're not really a people, like a proper people. They're tribes. And so each tribe can govern itself under Israeli umbrella with, with autonomy and sovereignty, except like don't incite violence. That's the only thing that we demand of you. But they have like their own autonomy. They're citizens of their own emirate, much like the UAE is a conglomeration of several emirates. So you can give each municipality autonomy and annex the rest, annexing a few tens of thousands of Arabs in the process and giving these people total autonomy. And that's his solution. I think it's an interesting. I gave up on the 2-state solution as currently framed, just because I don't. The Palestinian Authority is corrupt and uses the Palestinians as sorry, I lost my train of thought. The Palestinian Authority is corrupt. It takes advantage of its population to put money in its coffers. Palestinian liberation is the worst thing that's going to happen to the Palestinian Authority, because then it won't have justification for mooching off of the EU and other donations. Monkey came in. Qatar spent 256 million in the U.S. lobby and around 6 to 7 billion in universities and NGO pro-Hamas anti-capitalistic influence operations. I would sanction them and confiscate 14 billion. I completely 100% agree. Qatar is the most dangerous country to the U.S. right now, in my estimation, or maybe second after China. But China, like, is an enemy, and you're treating China as an enemy. Qatar has connections and the highest levels of government. Julie is saying monkey for president. I agree. The Qatar is everything that Qatar is spending money to paint Israel as. That's basically the issue with Qatar. I'll say that sentence again, then I'll explain it. Qatar is everything that Qatar is spending money to paint Israel as. Israel controls the U.S. government with money. No, Qatar does that. Israel is corrupting Western society through woke ideology. No, Qatar does that. Qatar funds all these universities and NGOs that promote its agenda. Now, unfortunately, Jews are the victims of that, because Jews are disproportionately parts of the elite. And when we get to talk about Fuentes, we'll see why that might be, two theories, and why he might be changing his mind. He's saying it in jest, but he always says everything he says in jest. I think there's something true underneath the jokes. We'll talk about that later. So because Jews are disproportionately part of the elites in the West, they are more susceptible to the indoctrination that the elites in the West are undergoing, and so they end up becoming wokeism. So you see, oh wow, there's way more Jewish representation among the people pushing this stuff. Yeah, because there's way more Jewish representation among the universities compared to their part in the population, and they're being brainwashed by Qatari money to be against the West. The source is Qatar. You take care of Qatar, those Jews will no longer be anti-West. But it's not about Jewish identity as such. So Soapbox is asking, Guy, what are your various icons on the wall? We take 2 minutes to explain. This is not my wall. I'm at my in-laws for the next month or so before we move into our apartment. It's being prepared. It's going to be ready in September. So now this is a temporary situation, which is also why I don't have flags, and I'm gonna have a proper setup for the office that will look more presentable. This is just the guest room in my in-laws apartment, so I can ask my father-in-law what all of this means. It's generally a bunch of theater stuff, like posters for shows. Kevin Shaw, thank you for the super chat. Shalom from a Roman Catholic Jew lover. Shalom, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Okay, now on to the rest of the news. Yeah, okay, so Sean is saying ex-Mormons are the same, and it's the same reason. So yesterday, Trump and Netanyahu met right after Trump met with Zelensky. So Trump met with Zelensky at 9:30 a.m. They sat there for an hour and a half, and then at 11 a.m., Trump met Netanyahu. I don't think this is a coincidence, especially since Ukraine recently happened to get involved in the war with Iran, and Ukraine has a lot of interests in the fall of the regime of the Islamic Republic. And last month, His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi was also in Odessa, and presumably he was there. He in a conference. He gave an interview and a speech, but presumably that's not all he did there. And presumably, Ukraine is involved in arming the Iranian people with drones. We don't know this for sure, but this is like reading between the lines. This appears to be something that's happening. So, how did the meeting go? So Netanyahu was in the U.S. talking with an expanded forum, meaning the room had him, some aides, Vance, Hegseth, Rubio, Trump, and I think maybe Susie Wiles was there. I hope she left the room like for the actual meeting, but she was at least there for the photo op. And Netanyahu said that this was the best meeting he has ever had with Trump. That's hyperbole, and you could argue, well, he's just saying it for internal reasons, internal like political reasons, like, oh, he's trying to show that he's still besties with the president. I don't think that's the case. I think his relationship with Trump is no longer a political asset since the MOU. People have soured, like the public in Israel have soured on Trump somewhat. Okay, so Soapbox is saying this is highly relevant. Oh no, Ukraine has been involved quite a while. People do not know this, but I can explain a bit more. Yeah, so I have reasons to think so as well. I don't know for sure, and I would imagine that this would be classified. So So like I can't say for sure. I assume, I have reasons to assume, and I know they might be the same reasons as you. I have reasons to assume. Oh, okay. We have this unclassified now. Okay, so feel free to share in the chat. But yeah, so they're involved. Basically, they're most likely involved. Okay, good question from Shauna. Before I continue, do the Israelis blame Trump or Vance more for the crap MOU? It depends on how involved you are, because a lot of people don't know the intricacies of like internal American politics, so they don't really they know the Vance is a vice president, but a lot of people just, oh, Trump signed a surrender deal, he's so weak, and so on. And even like the people who know put the onus on Vance, but at the same time, Trump had to sign off on this, and it wasn't just Vance. It was Vance, it was Kushner, and it was Witkoff. So um, I think it was a mistake. I think they gave them too much optics wise, even though they knew it was likely not going to move on to any other phase. But I think they should have demanded more on the optics. I guess they got stressed because of the trying to clear out the strait. Yeah, a monkey saying, so back to Netanyahu, if there will be a regime change, it would be the best meeting he's ever had, period. Absolutely. And that's what we're all hoping for. And Chuck E. Cheese 5251 is saying, if Russia does collapse or surrender, Ukraine is going to have a lot of excess drones with many bored drone operators. I think it's a good problem to have, and they already started selling those. So even this problem is solvable. The optics at Amulin's funeral were epic. Yeah, so Netanyahu talked to Hegseth and Rubio in the funeral. He talked to. He also had a small conversation with Zelensky. Although again, presumably Zelensky was also involved, even if not directly, in like he was part of the conversation between Trump and Netanyahu, presumably. At the very least, by sending the message that we're on board, or sending the message that we're not on board, or whatever. All right. By the way, Russia is collapsing. Like Putin is going to be assassinated by Russians before he'll be able to conquer Kiev. We might be seeing the end of the Russian Federation under Putin. Like this war might have been the death knell of Putin's regime, which would be great. I don't know what comes after him, but Putin is also a destructive force for the West. Now, we don't know what happened. We know that Netanyahu met with Trump and so Netanyahu met with had the larger meeting. Apparently, he also met one-on-one, face to face, like a private meeting with just Vance. And today he's going to sit with Hegseth. We don't know what this means. I know that some officials in Israel have been clamoring for a chance to sit one-on-one with Vance to sort of straighten things out and create a better relationship for the future. Now, meanwhile, the regime in Iran is trying to to rearm. They're getting around 400 RPGs, anti-missile, anti-aircraft RPGs from China within the next few weeks. So presumably, if you want to do something now, you do it before that happens. At the same time, we've had some fire exchanges recently. The Iranians are still striking. Let me see if I can find the news article. Brent is now up to $90. They struck the base in Jordan, a surprise strike, and they barely managed to get out with no one harmed. And the Saudis and Americans, in response, struck, or that was part of the response, struck Hashd al-Shabi in Iraq, and there are at least 20 killed and 32 injured in these strikes. Meanwhile, yeah, so Sean is saying that's smart on Israel's part in case Vance ends up president, God forbid. Yeah, we all hope for Rubio. But we absolutely should prepare for the eventuality that Vance is the even if he's the new president, the next president. So Chuck E. Cheese is saying, problem is, I don't know if Vance is going to allow Israel a way to change his mind. It was made up before the TPUSA speech. I really don't know what Vance's internal thought process is. I believe him when he says he's moderate on Israel, but moderate is like between the people who are very pro and very anti. He's like neutral. He's like, okay, Israel. I think it's a wrong position to hold if you're American because of everything you're getting out of Israel as the one proper ally that the U.S. has that isn't mooching off of the U.S. And especially it's even the small claims for mooching are going to become moot once the new MOU is signed, where Israel is gradually replacing direct military subsidies for buying American weapons with R&D. So just joint development of weaponry. Okay, let's see what we have before I move on to the next topic. But it seems like a bunch of preparations are happening right now, and the meeting was said to be very good. They brainstormed some ideas for what to do moving forward, and they seem to be all on very much the same page. Whatever that is. We don't know what that page is and what it includes, but they seem to be on the same one. So Grease Monkey is saying Israel lobby is 0.7 million, APAC US citizens is 95 million, together less than the dentist lobby. Israel couldn't control gingivitis with this kind of money. Exactly. The Israeli lobby is pitiful. It should be way more. You need to invest in influence to contrast the influence that the people who hate you are buying. You have to do it. Another one from Grease Monkey, by the way, great channel, going in depth on American politics. I believe both North and South, right? Because you speak Spanish. But correct me if I'm wrong on this. The MOU let us make a legal framework and escrow accounts to take the regime's oil cells and use them for whatever we want. For example, transitional government and compensation to those they attack. Yes, so in hindsight, the MOU was probably a good move. I think the way Vance sold it, and I think the way Vance panicked about it failing, that's the problem with the MOU. Kushner should have never been involved. So Sean is saying Kushner should have never been involved. It made Americans skeptical, and it was a bad deal. I'm going to put Monkey's channel link in the description. And for those who are on Liberty Politics, also, I'm going to put it's in the description, but here's my channel as well. And by the way, you can join our discussion group where every Monday I lead a discussion group. Q&A, you can ask me anything you want. And there's a daily discussion groups with Armin, and I highly recommend joining. I learned a lot of interesting things from those discussion groups, and also ended up with this YouTube channel through there. So you might have a chance as well. Okay, and BS and all, thank you for the 30 joules, and again, saying W, flower and W. Soapbox is saying, absolutely, Russia is done. I watch these analytics daily, sir. There is no survivability here. Yes, absolutely, I agree. And I like Paul Warburg. I'll put his channel in the chat. for really in-depth analysis on the war in Ukraine. Now he's biased towards Ukraine, but I think he's just right. Like his analysis strikes me as correct. Uh, Grease Monkey saying the problem with JD Pence is that he is pro Qatar, pro Pakistan, not neutral. If you're pro these two and neutral in Israel, you add up to being anti-Israel. Is he pro Qatar? I don't know if that's true, but if you have, like, I've never heard this, but I believe you. So if you have specifics, I'd like to see them. Uh, yeah. So Kevin is saying the monkey is actually Grease Monkey. He's based with facts. He has his own live stream on at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Looking at 776 subs. Yes, unfortunately, Grease Monkey has surpassed me in the number of subs, but we don't talk about that. Instead, what we do is we go to Gailando IL, this channel, and subscribe so I can pass Monkey because he started after me, and then he took over my slot with Armin. That is right after this stream. By the way, after this stream, go watch that stream. And so he essentially stole subscribers from me. That's how I see it. Finally, you put your own channel out. Glad to sub to you, King. Armin picked you for a reason. Love you, King. Thank you. That's very kind of you. All right, and like the stream, everyone. He is accepting of their mediation and counsel. I don't know if that's him specifically, or because that's the American administration at large. Like the bigger issue is his connection to Trita Parsi. He seems to have some pro IRGC connections that are like I'd be more worried about that. I haven't seen explicitly something to do with Qatari influence on a large scale. He is had some Qatari influence specifically with the MOU, but I don't know if that's something that will live on past this war. All right. Monkey guy's coming for you. Yes, I'm. By the way, I'm a higher like evolutionary level, so it's ridiculous that he has more subscribers than me. I'm what he becomes in like a few million years. Um. Okay, so Alexi, or Alex, sorry, Alex DiMaria is saying Rubio can't hold the Trump coalition together. The Trump coalition is broader than just the Republican voters. Trump needed to pull off some traditionally Dem voting groups. I think Rubio would be able to keep the coalition together. I disagree with this, and I think Rubio is more favorable in the eyes of independents than Vance is, and I think Rubio would be able to keep the coalition together. Like I assume you're talking about, for example, the unions and stuff like that. I don't see the Democrats doing anything there that would take them away from their new Republican home. That's my position. By the way, I hope to have a guest coming on soon, depending on the traffic. So Monkey is saying, I'm on here 8 hours a day. Don't feel bad because you have a life and I don't. You're getting the better part of this deal. We'll see. I mean, if you become a millionaire through YouTube, you know. Okay. Shauna with the real question is which of the three has the best beard, Monkey, Guy, or Ali? I don't. Monkey's beard is a bit frazzled and also like it's clear here because he's a monkey. It looks like huge sideburns. Let's see if I can see in the bottom. It's just sideburns. It's not a beard. So it's between me and Ali. And I said earlier I have an average beard. So I think Ali takes it. Okay. Love the fake rivalry between all of Armin and his army. Lol, you all have good insights and help us understand. This is not fake. I despise Monkey. Monkey is horrible. How dare you call it fake, this feud? But yes, he does have good insights. We all know Armin wishes he was Israeli. Yeah. He has stated so multiple times. So Alex is saying traditional Republicans like Rubio have shown no ability to pull together the same winning coalition Trump did. The thing with Rubio is, so I would agree if it was Ted Cruz or DeSantis, I would agree with you. I think Rubio has managed to pull himself to a position that is like in the center between the classical Republican and Vance, and I think that is the winning strategy. Because he slightly shifted economically. He is still pro open open markets and trade, but he also has some. He calls it common good economy. You can look it up. I don't want to talk about it too much right now. Yeah, so Chuck E. Cheese is saying, yeah, Trump got the traditional liberals. Vance is going for the socialist far left, which is not Trump's coalition. No, I disagree. Trump's coalition does also have Rust Belt and other such people, like the flyover states used to be Democrats, and especially the union workers, and Trump got them with populism. Amir is saying Javid Rubio. I just think that Vance is able to do it as well. Yeah, so okay, so Chuck E. Cheese is saying the reason the unions flip is because they were like 70% of the rank and file members, because 75% of the rank and file members were Trump voters, and I think that's true because, like, I don't think the economy is. I don't think Rubio is going to send those people away. Like, he's not going to push them away. I think he's very adept, and very well liked from what I've been able to gather. Some people might like Vance more, but they don't hate Rubio. There are people who like Rubio that hate Vance. Vance is alienating part of the coalition. That's the problem. Rubio being Hispanic doesn't make him more electable among Hispanic voters. I think he's electable among Hispanic voters, not regardless of his being Hispanic. I think it's a bonus. I do think it's a bonus. I think it's unlikely. Like, you would have to convince me that it doesn't play any role. But especially like his policies seem to mesh with what the Hispanics want, regardless. Okay, Sean is saying there's a couple of swing districts in my area where Vance is favorable, but I think Rubio could steal them. Okay, so on to the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine has been striking the Wildberries facilities in Russia over the last few weeks. Wildberries is like the Russian Amazon. They are. I'll quickly go through this. The reason they're going after them is because Russia is trying to. Russia is using it to. So they're trying to enlist a whole bunch, like hundreds of thousands of people, because they're losing. And by the way, it's hard for them to get the forces. They're conscripting. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff, but they're losing resources fast, and they're using Wildberries to supply them with certain munitions and supplies and stuff like that. And so, as a result, Wildberries became a legitimate military target. And so Ukraine is bombing the shit out of them, and this is also hurting. The war has come to the front line where regular Russians are feeling it. And that's that's a shift that has not happened before. And now you have a bunch of videos of people say, "Oh, why are we in this war?" Where they didn't care before because it didn't bother them. It didn't get to them. This is a major escalation in terms of the pressure on Putin to essentially surrender. He's not going to, because if he surrenders, he's going to be murdered. But but like he's going to lose. Okay. Looking through, there's a lot of comments today. A lot to go through. So Will is saying, Chuck, you don't think Vance is actually doing Trump's bidding? He just does shit on his own, and Trump is okay with it. I disagree. I don't think this is. I think everything is signed off on and is based on what Trump wants to do. Trump chose to give Vance the lead on the MOU, and I think Vance did a poor job on certain aspects of it. Not all of it, but certain aspects of it. Okay, there's some Rubio love. Vance's speech in Munich was great. I think Rubio's speech the following year was better because he got them to clap for saying the same thing, and so they're more likely to listen. Yeah. Okay. So Will Nell, I think, is representing a lot of Trump voters. I've seen this sentiment in many places. I mean, I didn't like Rubio before he got the Secretary of State job. I seen him as a wishy-washy rhino, but being Secretary of State, he sure did shine. Yeah, so I think he's growing on a lot of MAGA, and he already has the traditional Republicans in the bag. So okay. Monkey saying the support average Christians have for Jews is astronomically underestimated. 1 of 10 Christians in some large denominations. It's 1 in 20, very low. This hurts Vance. Also, most Latinos like Marco. I think 1 of 10. You mean are anti or like against Jews? I think that's what you're trying to say, right, Monkey? Uh, yeah. So wild berries is 45% of all Russian online purchases. You guys are writing way too fast. It's hard to get to everything. Okay. Also, Guy, I may disagree with you on Rubio because I can tell you understand the American electorate better than a lot of others. I appreciate it. Thank you. Between that, like for some reason, I got really obsessed with American politics, and between that and my accent, like it's really hard for me to convince people that I'm not American. Neither are my parents, and I've never stepped foot in America. Um, but thank you. Uh, okay. Oh wow. Okay. I know where the comments are. What the comments are talking about, and I'm way behind. I need to step it up. Yes, 1 in 10 is anti-Jewish. Okay, good. Are there any videos on this channel or on your own or any others you can recommend that will help me fully understand the war in Ukraine? So again, Paul Warburg does a lot of good stuff. There's a Telegram channel called War Translated that has some on like ongoing updates. But for the large picture, first of all, it changes by the month. So if you watch a video from a few months ago, it's no longer going to be relevant. But the gist of it is Ukraine is on pace to win the war decisively, and the Russian economy is coalesced around the war, and it's failing. And like they're even if the war stops, they're like they can't stop the war because their economy depends on the war continuing or on some war continuing. They have become a war economy, um, and they lost a lot of their young working age men because their strategy is we don't have a strategy. We're just going to throw a bunch of meat into the fire and hope it goes well. And the Ukrainians are way more adept. They're using robotics. They're using AI. They're using drones, um, and so they're way more. And they're also now their pace of production of drones is higher than their usage, so they can actually sell them to certain people in the Persian Gulf. Um, both sides of it. Some of it presumably is covert, but take that for what you will. Okay. What the fuck if Nick? Yeah, I'm gonna get to Nick Fuentes in a second. Latinos like Jews, but many Latinos also have populist views, especially Mexican Americans. Alex is saying. Yeah, but I think you're overestimating Rubio's standing as a rhino or as a traditional Republican. I think he has managed to switch to being very liked within MAGA, and also like the hard corners of MAGA. Okay. So Trump just said. So okay, a few other quick news, and then I'll go into the Fuentes thing. U.S. just signed a new collaboration agreement with the UAE regards to military usage AI. That's very good considering where the UAE is going. There are claims that the U.S. attacked today in Iran. The U.S. is denying it, but someone apparently attacked in Iran. It was in western Azerbaijan in the northwest. Western Azerbaijan, the district within Iran. It's in the northwest of Iran. Trump said to Fox News, the militias that are being supported by Iran in Iraq are a cancer on the world. I'm strongly considering publishing further alerts regarding. So this is translated to Hebrew, and I'm translating it back to English. So this is not verbatim. Iran's proxies. My meeting with Netanyahu was excellent. We'll let the Iranians keep talking. I think that's the exact quote. It's not we're going to keep talking with the Iranians. It's we're going to let them keep talking. And the U.S. is going to strike Iran in response to the surprise attack that they conducted tonight against the American forces in Jordan. This was a surprise attack. The American forces only had minutes to intercept the missiles. Okay. And he also the White House also posted a picture saying "Finish this fight" with Trump with like no, sorry, wrong. In the wrong window. Okay. Very scary. But just we can't take this seriously because he's done this many times already and then went into ceasefires and so on. Okay. So now let's talk about the moment. Let's get to the moment some of you have been waiting for and some of you have not. One Nicholas, I think it's J. Fuentes. Recently, Fuentes has been accused of being Jewish by Sneeko, whom he asked to be deported, by Dan Bilzerian, who is also Jewish. By the way, Sneeko is also Jewish. All of the Dave Smith is Jewish. All of the prominent anti-Semites, as Nick is very eloquently going to put in the couple of clips we're going to watch now, like the most prominent anti-Semites are Jewish. So we even cornered that market. We became prominent even in the anti-Semitism sphere. Okay, so let's watch a couple of clips of Fuentes. Hopefully, my friend will be able to come here. He has some interesting takes on Fuentes, and then I'll say what I think and why I think actually Israel is the solution to a lot of this for many of these the fans. I mean, the Groypers and the disillusioned young men. Oh, wait, is it not the clip? Oh, I need to go into Facebook. Okay. That's unfortunate. And also, I think, could be wrong, but I think my share doesn't include audio. So that's also bad. We want the audio. Yes, it did not include the audio. Okay. So I'm sorry I'm subjecting you to NICK FUENTES, but this is important for a larger point I want to make. Why is it? Oh, okay. The audio is just off. And also to avoid double sound, I'm going to put on earphones. Okay. There we go. Shabbat is Shabbos Kestenbaum. He's like a prominent young right-wing Jewish person, for those who don't know. Oh, no sound? Oh, no. Wait, what? But I specifically, explicitly shared the sound. Oh, that's gonna... If I can't play the sound, that's gonna ruin a lot of what I had had planned for today. Yeah, people are saying no audio. Sorry, I missed the I missed the comments. I'll try again. I'm hearing the sound, and you should be able to hear the sound as well. I don't know why. Guy looked down. Yeah, I mean, it's not... I'm not actually looking, so it's on a separate screen. I know the comments are like here, but I'm actually looking elsewhere.
That's a very good point. Very interesting.
Ajit Macron sent $20. Chad is one letter away from Chad, and the only thing that changes is you.
Oh.
Can you hear this now? Can someone please confirm in the chat that the audio is now working? We hear well. Okay.
Fuentes is a Sephardic Jewish last name, sent $20.
And maybe, oh, I'm so... Yahweh, Hashem, please. Hashem. Hashem, please, please, I hope it's true. Please save me from these goyim. Can I join the club? Please wrap me up like I'm leftovers. Put the cube on my head. Hashem, please tell me it's true. I am not one of these. Oh man, I can't wait. Me and Shapiro.
I skipped. He said I'm not one of these N-word. I assume that's going to get the stream demonetized. He's talking about the stupid anti-Semites, like everyone but him in the movement, in the anti-Semitic movement.
Me and Shapiro and Joe Lonsdale at Shabbat is going to go crazy, man. I cannot wait. It's not, you're not a traitor if you're one of them, you know? If you see me wearing the tiny hat, it's not treachery if I'm just taking my own side. Hashem, if you can hear me, please open the path.
So the people are asking, why is he saying Hashem? He has a very caricaturized view of what Judaism is, but he also read a lot about it. So it's a weird place of being like almost well informed about it. It just from a religious perspective, he has to paint everything in Judaism in a negative light, and so he takes some things that are true and then distorts them to make them sound bad. Yeah. So Hashem just means the name. Hashem is what Jews call God when you don't want to say the explicit name, the name that has Yud, Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey. That is wrongly called Yahweh. That's not the actual way to put the vowels on it. It means was, is, and will be in like one word. Okay, so Monkey is saying it's not demonetized when he says the N word. Yeah. So we don't want to say the explicit name, so we just want to say that we say the name Hashem. Remember the word Hashem, by the way. It's going to be relevant for the next thing I talk about after Fuentes.
No, just kidding. It's obviously a joke. I reluctantly accept my leadership over you people.
Yeah, seems very very happy with that. So he is trolling. To be clear, this and the next two clips I'm going to show is him trolling. He has not converted to Judaism yet. But this trolling is very clearly coming from a real place of, oh my God, my movement is full of morons. He is the only non-moron there. And if he did not have a religious dedication to being supersessionist, meaning that the Jewish people are inherently evil or bad or wrong, like God abandoned them, he would probably be pro-Israel at this point already. And I think he might still get there at some point.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We're goyim straight. I love being a goy.
So again, that's the meme that all Jews think of goys as lesser because we're the chosen people and so on. The chosen people is chosen like a hall monitor is chosen. We're chosen in the sense that we have a role to play in the world. It's not a hall monitor isn't better than the rest of the class. And goy just means people.
No, it's great. I love being a goy. It's the best. I hate being goyish. It's awesome.
Fuentes is a Sephardic Jewish last name sent $20. I believe that when it comes to October 7th and the traditional perspective rabbinic Jews will have of it is that they didn't get Nick to do a striptease with his kosher pecker out to the big Yahoo.
Oh, come on. Why? Just
Bryce
why
said $20. Are we getting?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so by the way, this I don't like. This is a pro-Jewish channel, and I don't like this kind of clickbait. And I know it's funny because I use clickbait to get you all here. But I pull you in with a clickbait, so you fall into the trap of hearing nuanced takes. You thought I were going to get clickbait, but I was going to say it was me, Dio. But you ended up getting nuance. Sorry, his kosher what? Kosher pecker. Dick. Penis. Okay, so that's the first clip. The second clip is this one. Oh no, it's opening in a separate app. That's not what I want.
Actually Sephardic Jew? You didn't deny it earlier in the week. You just said that Dan's dad was Jewish.
Conversation.
Okay, so by the way, this came about because Nico accused him of being Jewish and telling him that his 23andMe test came back as Jewish, and that he uploaded a Photoshopped version. I don't know that that's wrong, because if I look at Nick Fuentes, I see a Jewish person. physically, he very much reminds me of Ben Shapiro. He's small of stature, and I say that as someone who is also vertically challenged. Parentheses, because I'm Jewish. He speaks fast, and like he just strikes me as Jewish. I don't know. So I might believe Sneeko on this. But this is what started this whole thing.
That's just what happens.
Dixie Grower percent $20. Are you actually
okay? So actually, before I go, so BS and all. Saying I actually find it difficult to emotionally deal with how nice Jews are to us goys. It feels wrong to get so much appreciation for basic human decency. Yeah, so that's the Fuentes' Spanish Jewish name is precisely what they're saying about him. That's the accusation. It's not exclusively a Spanish Jewish name. It's a Spanish name that also Jews have. I think the same goes for like Goldberg and stuff like that. These are German last names, and a lot of Jews have them. And the Germans who immigrated to the U.S. were Jewish, and so German last names strike you as Jewish.
Sephardic Jew? You didn't deny it earlier in the week. You just said that Dan's dad was Jewish as well.
I wish. I wish it were true. I wish it were true. Is there any way to track that? I got to talk to a Jew. Can somebody put me in touch? I would like to find out. People have been accusing me of that for so long. Because honestly, it would give a lot of credence to my theory that most people have no souls. And it's like, maybe the Jews are the only ones with souls. So wouldn't that kind of prove it? If I had a soul and none of you guys did, and I was Jewish and you weren't, wouldn't?
This is another trope that is not true about Judaism, that Jews think only Jews have souls. Again, in the very, very, very like fringes of Judaism, you might have some people who say that. It's a misunderstanding of what is said in the in Kabbalah. It's not that Jews only have a soul. It's that the Jews, the worst thing is that Jews have the potential to get to a higher spiritual level than non-Jews. It's something along those lines. That's the worst it actually says. That you can reasonably think it says.
That kind of say it all? Doesn't it? Wouldn't it say it all also if all the prominent anti-Semites were Jews? All the anti-Semites that are notable, or like, wouldn't that kind of tell you something? Wouldn't that kind of prove Jewish supremacy? Like the anti-Semites are like, Jews think they're better than everybody. Jews think that they're represented among all the major fields because they're gifted, but really it's because they're cheaters. What if all the biggest and best anti-Semites were Jews too? Because it's like when Israel named the top 10 anti-Semites, it was like Dan Bilzerian, Sneeko, me, Dave Smith. It's like half of them were Jews. Isn't that so funny? Because we would say, look at the top bankers. Look at the top Wall Street funds. Look at this. Half of them are Jews. And the Jews would say, well, that's because we're gifted. It's because we're smarter. It's because we're better. It's because we have souls. We're chosen by God. Well, what if half of the anti-Semites were Jews too? Then it's like, damn. Baby, we...
By the way, I was gonna let him finish, but I was gonna make a Kanye meme. He's gonna talk about Kanye as well soon. A lot of memes keep popping into my head today. Anyway, the Jews don't say it's because we're, what was it? Because we have a soul and you don't.
Then it's like, damn. Baby, we are better. Baby, we are better. We fought the wrong enemy. Because we have souls. We're chosen by God. Well, what if half of the anti...
Yeah, so essentially you're saying the reasons Jews say that they succeed in life is because they have souls and they're chosen by God and so on. I can give you a completely materialistic explanation for why Jews are disproportionately parts of the elite in Western societies. like in meritocracies.
Semites were Jews too. Then it's like, damn, maybe we are better. Maybe we are better. We fought the wrong enemy. Maybe me, Dan, and Sneeko would get together and say, well, we are all the top anti-Semites and we are all Jews, and we definitely didn't cheat to get here, so maybe it's true. maybe we're better. Maybe our brethren were right. We were fighting. Why were we resisting this? Our brethren were right. Ben Shapiro, we're home. Shabbos Kestenbaum, Ben Shapiro, brothers. Our brothers who were right. And then we turned the guns on the Goyim. We were fighting the wrong enemy. Then we all turn me, Dan, and Sneeko are bickering. We're fighting each other. You're Jewish. No, you're Jewish. Then we say, wait a second. We're all Jewish. We're all fucking awesome. And then we all turn on the audience. And we're like, wait a second. You people. It's you, Goyim. No, I'm kidding. Jokes, just jokes.
3 minutes more worth of monologue of a joke.
Just joke.
So I'll say what I think about what I think is actually going on in a second.
No, but let's get Tefillin. Let's get Rabbi Tefillin on the line. Let's figure it out. Let's trace the lineage. I'm open to the idea that I'm Jewish. Maybe I am. Here's what they're hanging there. They're hanging their hat on the fact that some Hispanics are Jewish. Because 500 years ago, some conversos came to the New World. And so they say, well, Fuentes is a Sephardic name. It's like, well, okay, so is Rodriguez a Sephardic name? Is fucking Sanchez? Like, yes, half of a millennium ago, some conversos came to the New World. So is it possible? I mean, I suppose. I'd be interested to find out. I don't think that would change anything. So yeah, maybe we'll get Rabbi to follow.
Roiper SC sent $25. Hey,
but yeah, if that turned out to be true, there'd be signs.
Construction Roiper sent $200. Got the whole construct.
Okay. One last clip. And I think a lot of what he says, the reason he became prominent is that he said truths that people were too afraid to say.
For the first time in my career, I'm taking it as a compliment. For the first...
Oh, what's this? Oh, what a nice video. You should watch it. Okay.
First time in my long and storied career in this movement, I wish it was true. People are saying, you're Jewish, and I'm like, you know what? I sort of wish I was. I wish I could claim that at this point. I don't want to be like you niggas anymore. Listen. If the movement is Stu Peters, who's like a drunk, and it's Dan Kazarian, who is this manlit, fake poker player, Instagram celebrity has-been, and it's Dr. Jang and Sneeko, and who else? It's like, if that's the anti-Semitic movement, then like, Hashem, make me Jewish. Like, Hashem, make me Jewish. Please let me join you. I'm sorry. I was just kidding. No, it's true. We were just jealous. We want to be like you. It's like, if that's the movement, then we're cooked. Look at the Jews roster. The Jews have Larry Ellison. And the Jews have George Soros. And they got Adam Sandler.
By the way, it goes to show, like, this is very conspiracy minded, because George Soros and Larry Ellison agree on almost nothing. The meme is, between two Jews, there are three opinions, because Jews don't agree on anything. So you have prominent Jews in many places, but you don't, like, it's not a monolith. Just like Christianity is not a monolith, Judaism even more so is not a monolith, because Judaism doesn't have a dogma. Famously, Judaism doesn't have a dogma. The whole point of the Talmud that they keep quoting things from is to be a book of debates that often don't have like a bottom line, but you're like left with, here's this person said this and this person said this, and that's the point. That's the thing. It's a debate. So the whole idea of Judaism is to constantly evolve and change. And so it's doubly wrong to quote a book from 2,000 years ago as showing what Jews believe, because it's not like Catholic Christianity where you have a dogma. One, it's doubly wrong because one, things keep evolving, and two, even what it says there is not Judaism thinks this is correct, but rather one rabbi within a debate said something that you might consider to be disagreeable, and most of the time, even that is taken out of context. Like most of the time, they take a quote that's out of context, where the context completely inverts the point that is being made. And they say, this is what Jews believe. One, that wasn't what was actually said on the page. Two, even if it was, which it wasn't, it was 2,000 years ago, and Judaism, because it doesn't have a dogma, keeps evolving. And three, even if that wasn't true, that was just one part of the debate in the Talmud. Yeah, so RG Rappaport is saying, this is so true, guy, about the Talmud. Yeah, that's what the Talmud is. Yeah, it's like criticizing modern day debate because a Muslim debater once said that child marriage is okay in a debate. Exactly. You can't criticize the framework. This is a very good analogy. You can't criticize the framework at which a debate occurs for one person in a debate saying something outrageous. Okay. So anyway, so I wanted to clear that up.
Handler. These people don't fuck around. They got Jack Black. They got Benjamin Netanyahu. They got some heavy hitters. And even on their bench are the goy. They also have the top goys too. They got Donald Trump, Elon Musk. They made Ye apologize. Like their deck is stacked. The bench is stacked. And then you look at the anti-Semites, and who do we got? Stu Peters, who like crashed his four-wheeler drunk and then got arrested. And you got Ian Carroll. Okay, enough said. And you got Sneak.
He absolutely hates Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll is Candace Owens' lackey, who keeps saying that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk, and there's this conspiracy. And then whenever he's proven wrong, he just, this even proves my point further. And NICK FUENTES called him out exactly on that. Like, if anything that happens proves your theory, then you're not interested in the facts. And the fact that NICK FUENTES said this made me appreciate NICK FUENTES somewhat. I think, unfortunately, he has some theologically motivated positions that are just wrong. And I think if he got over that, he could be a very strong force for good.
Nico and Dan Kazarian, Dan Bilzerian, he joined the fray. Now he's an anti-Semite. Jake Shields, who legitimately has brain damage, like punch drunk brain damage. It's like the lineup is a joke, you guys. It's like Lollapalooza for retards. Like you're announcing the lineup of anti-Semites, and it's like, please, I can't take any more. Stop. We don't want any more anti-Semites. Imagine you go back in time like 4 years. Nobody was anti-Semitic. Nobody knew about the Jews. Nobody knew the Jews did 9/11. Nobody knew the Jews were doing these things.
And there you go. Like it's what I remember. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he made a video, and he said, no, it's Tyler Robinson did it. Very clearly, Tyler Robinson did it. And then his audience, because they're all morons. I mean, okay, they're not all morons, but they all need something. I'm gonna talk about that next. Like, so this is leading somewhere. This is not a let's talk about Fuentes video. This is actually, there's a point I want to get to. but like certain people in his audience, like, oh, you're Mossad then. Nick Fuentes, the famous Mossad agent. He is very much a force for Jews, absolutely. But he said, you all can't think. It's just like, just because the Jews did 9/11, you think they did everything. And I that was very funny. Yeah, so the Jews did 9/11. Who really believes this? Really? So Nick Fuentes unironically believes this. This is very much a view he holds to, and I don't think you'd be able to yeah, okay, so real quickly, the Talmud is also records of the opinions and interpretations of thousands of rabbis and doesn't represent Judaism in a singular fixed way, because Judaism doesn't have a singular fixed way. Famously, that is one of the points of Judaism. You don't have a dogma, you don't have a doctrine. You have you have the rules that are written in the Torah, and then you have debates about those rules and how they apply to different things in different contexts. Yeah, exactly. That's something so many people get wrong. It's nothing like, say, the Quran or the Hadith, which is the single consolidated source of truth for Muslims. Yeah, so the dancing Jews. So this has been thoroughly debunked. I'm not going to go into it right now. So there apparently was an Israeli operation to find some Hamas operatives in New York at the same time. And they happened to see it, and so they documented it. And then they went on Israeli TV, because if you're going to do 9/11, you know what you're going to do. You're going to go on live TV in Israel and essentially admit it, right? That's because that's how Mossad operates. Because they're very, very smart. Except, they didn't expect me to watch their live TV. And said that, like, someone asked them, what were you doing there? Because they were arrested and then released when they found out that they had nothing to do with it and they were there for another reason. And so he's the interviewer asked, "Masitem sham," and then he said, "Ti'adnu et ha'irua." Now, Israel time phrases are not the same as English, so you can translate "Ti'adnu et ha'irua" as we were there to document the events, or we just happened to document the events. Like, we documented the events. What were we doing there on the roof? We documented the event, meaning we happened to see it, and we took out a camera and we took a picture. It's not that they just went on live TV and said, yeah, we were there. We were sent there to document the fall of the Twin Towers, just so all of you people in Israel know. It's so stupid. I don't know if this is the reason Fuentes believes this, but the arguments are just so dumb. And who did 9/11? The people who claimed they did 9/11. There were people who admitted to doing 9/11. How about starting with those people? Okay.
Things. And you're thinking, like, who's going to be the celebrity endorsements for anti-Semitism? It's like this MMA fighter. It's like, remember Dan Bilzerian from 2015 when he was on Instagram? And it's Sneeko, because, like, of course, he follows every fad. And it's this, like, COVID truther alcoholic who beats his family, Stu Peters. It's like, don't we have anyone better? Like, we used to have Kanye. He doesn't want any part of this anymore. It's like, I don't know, guys. I think, I think it's time to pack it up. Hashem, can we get that guy to wrap the tefillin? Is he still there? Is he still in Chicago? Did he catch his flight yet? I think, do we have any time for a last minute tefillin wrapping, please? So yeah, they're calling me Jewish, and it's like, damn, I wish. We're stuck on this side. We're stuck on the wrong side. Stuck on the wrong side of creation, on the wrong side of God's promise. No, but I'm just kidding a little bit. We're just having fun with it a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay. Now, why did I show you these 3 videos? First of all, I do think Nick Fuentes is moving. He's wrapping it around in jokes, but he understands how stupid his side is, and he's capable of making cogent political analyses. I know some very intelligent people, unfortunately, that are fans of Fuentes. They didn't follow him quite as into not believing the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. They're like fans of Fuentes and like, oh, well, we're not anti-Semitic, except for like we sometimes disagree with him. Okay, so what do you disagree with him on? We do think Israel did assassinated Charlie Kirk. It's like, okay, sure. And you also happen to be a secessionist. Okay, secessionism, by the way, in Christianity is the belief that God's covenant with the Jewish people has God's eternal covenant with the Jewish people has been severed after Jesus came in to die with the express purpose of dying for our sins. Then he blamed the Jewish people for doing that, for causing that death. All Jewish people, because some of them opposed it, or like opposed Jesus, and he's punishing them for his own death that he orchestrated for the purpose of taking on the sins of humanity. I think that's the charitable interpretation way to talk about secessionism. Yeah. So now my guest did just arrive. So I'll add him on stage. Hello.
Wait one sec. Let me just make sure that everything works.
Okay, so actually, I'll take you off the screen for a second while you make sure everything is fine, and I'll start talking about what I want to talk about. Here's the bigger problem. Nick Fuentes is a symptom. Andrew Tate is a symptom. Clavicular, who also came to Israel recently, is a symptom. Clavicular is a streamer who's into looks maxing, and he's going to vote for Gavin Newsom over, for example, the example was JD Vance, because Gavin Newsom is more of a Chad. So there is a problem with young men in the West. That problem is, and I've mentioned this before, they have been taught that their existence is a sin. They have an original sin of being male and white for the white ones among them, but I don't think it's just the white ones. And society has shunned them and didn't give them any opportunities, and then blamed them for having privilege, even though they're the least likely to get any kind of job at the moment. Like, I know several men in America who are explicitly told, listen, we'd like to hire you, but you're a white man, so we can't hire you. We need to hire other groups. So so yes, it's true, but they can. Oh, I think I'm not sure if this might be about secessionism. I don't know, because Hungry AJ, I've seen some comments. I don't know what his position is. Yeah, as a Christian, it's very clear that the covenant was eternal. The fact that God keeps his promises also gives me confidence in the new covenant. Exactly. If an eternal covenant can be broken, then it's not a covenant. Therefore, you can't trust any new covenant. Okay. So the problem is that they have been blamed for the ills of the world, and then they know they're not in charge of the ills of the world, and they're very frustrated, justifiably so. They're and they need a place to vent, and also something to explain why this is happening. Who's causing this? Who's poisoning my society against me? Now, the people poisoning their society against them have managed to convince them that the cause of this. So they went on one side, which is so they're upset about it and become worse human beings. Yes, but I can understand that. If the whole world is against you, you tend to become bitter, and I think that's understandable. Oh, okay. So another person in the chat. I would. So Joshua Tift. This happens almost every stream. That's why I always plug it. I wish to convert. I learned to read and write Hebrew. By the way, again, Judaism doesn't encourage conversion. If you want to convert, that's on you. There are like hoops you have to go through. We don't need you to convert. It's not. You don't have to hold a specific set of propositional beliefs to go to heaven in Judaism. Like you don't have to be Jewish to go to heaven. You can be anything as long as you follow the Noahide laws, which are essentially just be decent. Holy shit! Like don't kill, don't stuff like that. But if you want to convert and you stated that you are trying to learn Hebrew, I have a course that I made. I put it in the chat. It's also in the description. It's called Heblio. The lion motif existed before I got interested in Iran. But it's highly curated. I have like 10 years of experience teaching Hebrew, like almost 10 years, and I've learned a lot as a result of what works, what doesn't. Also, I'm a cognitive scientist, so I know the science of learning, and I packaged the course because a good product didn't exist, so I just created it myself. It's much cheaper than any other like Ulpan or something you would go to. So if you're interested, the link Heblio Hebleo.com. Okay, Alex is agreeing with me about young men. Again, for those interested, because like every stream so far, there's someone who's at least interested enough to seriously look into it. Yes. So Monkey is summarizing what I want to say. Everything the Jews are blamed for can be laid at the feet of Marxists and Islamo-Marxists. So the people who have poisoned academia against men and against the Jews, they're the Marxists, like the Gramsci types who have taken the long march through the institutions, and the Islamists who are trying to take over the West, like the Qataris, and so on, who are investing money into turning into those critical theory type departments to destroy the West. And actually, for these young men, they don't have good role models because the West has eliminated positive male role models. Israel has not, because Israel has not been taken over by this, because Israel has a strong identity that Israel is like the only population that isn't feeling guilt for World War II. And as a result of that guilt, a lot of masculine traits have been eliminated. But because Jews were the victims, it didn't happen in the Jews. That's one of the reasons. Many reasons. Yeah. So Joshua is saying, I'm not doing it to go to heaven. I'm doing it because it feels right. I feel it's right. Yeah. I just wanted to, like, I think it's important that people understand that Jews are not trying to convert you. You don't need to be anything other than you are. Just be a good person. Okay. So someone's saying, just started with Heblio and loving it. Finished lesson 1. At some point, like afterwards, anyone who's doing it and would be able to. Oh, this is hilarious. They made him a mod. Give like a public review on like Trustpilot or on Reddit or something like that. I would highly appreciate it because I what I'm lacking now, the thing I'm most lacking is public reviews of the course. But many people are telling me it's really good. Is this Armin's channel? Yes. Safta Nechama. So I'm Israeli. I'm the Israeli settler who took over a corner of Liberty Politics. That's my angle, and I'm slowly taking over Liberty Politics. But I run the Israeli portion of Liberty Politics, and I do geopolitics from an Israeli perspective. Anyway, so excuse me. The thing is that Israel does have positive male role models. One, because a lot of people go into the army in Israel, and that matures you a lot. And two, we're not sorry for our existence, and we're not going to apologize for existing, and we are going to be assertive about it. And there are a lot of people in Israel. If you're looking for positive male role models, Israel has them in spades. You just have to look for them. But if you hate Israel, you're not going to be able to find them in Israel. Just a quick example. So Nick Fuentes, one of his points of merit that, unironically, assuming it's not a cover like a beard for being gay, but if it's not, he's like actually waiting until marriage. He's a virgin for religious reasons, and I think the West could use that a little bit more. Like, it doesn't don't want to go too far in the other direction, but I think y'all need Jesus. You know, okay. So my I'm gonna finish the sentence and then I'll let Atal come in. So, just as an example, look at the Gordon family of MMA fighters. You want positive role models? Look at them. They're highly respectful. So their father is Jewish. Their mother is a convert from Hong Kong. She's Chinese, converted to Judaism. They're like 7 siblings, I think, or 8. The father died. The mother raised them alone. And they're like super respectful, super eloquent, and they're fucking beasts. Like, they just had a GFN Gordon Fight Night event in Israel. And a 20-year-old, I think is the oldest, or he's the most famous one among them, called Ahavat Hashem, love of Hashem. Can't get any more. It's like Shabbos Kestenbaum said that Nick Fuentes said about him. Like, you can't say the name without it sounding anti-Semitic. So it's the same for Ahavat Hashem. So Ahavat Hashem Gordon just fought John Lineker, which, if you know anything about fights, and beat him by unanimous decision. By the judges. And if you know anything about like UFC and stuff, like that's insane. And like, if you're looking for masculine role models, go there. Don't go to Andrew Tate. Don't go to Look Smaxers like Clavicular. Look at some people with some content to what they're doing, like the Gordons and so on. So anyway, that was my spiel, and I think the solution to the problems of a lot of the Groypers are actually the thing that they were taught to hate the most, which is Israel. And with that, I mean, we don't have long because we have to finish in like 10 minutes. But Atal, hello.
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Do you have anything to say about anything that I just said, or do you want to bring up something else? We don't have time now because of the traffic that you dealt with, but I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow because the room might not be available. But if it is, then we can talk about what we plan to talk about, which was Eisenkot and so on. But if you have anything to say about Fuentes or about any of the other stuff I talked about, feel free to do so.
I joined quite late, so I'm not sure exactly what you said about Fuentes. Were you talking about his Hunter Biden interview, or just in general?
No, I haven't watched that. A lot of people in the chat mentioned that.
I mean, I think a lot of people, I mean, with regards to what you said, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, so I don't think he's converting to Judaism or anything. I mean, I think he's just fed up with.
No, it's that was clickbait to get people to hear the nuanced takes.
I see.
But yeah, so just I think just repeat what you said yesterday.
So what I said yesterday is that Nick Fuentes, I mean, anti-Semites, the deluge of anti-Semites are usually people who are, I mean, there's no other word to say other than losers in their life. And, you know, they have this Nietzschean resentment with just frustration with their life. And they obviously channel it towards anti-Semitism. And I think Nick Fuentes, among the major figures of anti-Semitism, is probably the most intelligent. He's extremely articulate, has a very, very high verbal IQ. And over the past, I guess, few years or even months, I think he's just realized that it's not a very good company to be in. If you're sharing the stage with Dan Bilzerian or Jake Shields, people whose ability to make any sound arguments or basically think in any logical manner is basically non-existent, or just being around conspiracy theorists or just extremely sketchy people. So I think it's quite entertaining. I mean, I don't think that he's stopped being like an anti-Semite. I think he's just realized that it's very frustrating for an intelligent person like him to be in the company of those people. And I still find him extremely funny. I mean, I can completely disconnect his views about things, but I think as a commentator, he's kind of a troll and a comedian. So I think that's his source of power, and I think that's also why he's dangerous, because like unlike those people, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he does have a lot of sway. Yeah.
And Monkey is saying, don't forget an audience full of inbred third worlders and bots, which is also true. That's I don't know what percentage, but a large percentage of his audience is that.
By the way, I don't know if you raised this topic before, but yesterday we talked about why in Israel we don't have the kind of incel looks maxer phenomena as much as you do have around the West. And
no, yeah, I briefly brought it up, but I think you can, if you talk about it, that could be a good.
So I think we don't really have the phenomena of I don't know what you'd call it, the lone male who basically is just like in his
Incel?
man cave, and yeah, incel, just on the internet all day, like chronically online. I think that one of the reasons we don't have it as much in Israel is, first of all, I think just the fact that we are at war, so people, young men, are at doing a lot of reserves or studying. I mean, life is not as easy as it is in the West. I mean, Israel is a rich country, but I don't think people have the luxury to have this much free time as they do in the States or other countries in the West. I also think that it's because our scene is so small, like the Hebrew language scene, you can't have a very developed internet scene like you do have in other countries, where you have Reddit forums and you create an entire identity around an online cultural phenomena. Some people are trying to copy these I guess absurdities that have developed in the West, in Israel. But also, I think in Israel, because we are not such an individualist society as in the States or other places, people usually have friends. So you don't really have this kind of sense of frustration and anger with your life. I do think that it is kind of a first world problem, that it comes a lot from comparison, from social media, and from having free time. I mean, if you're more in survival mode, you don't really have time to scour Reddit and find like-minded people like you. And I think also it's very much antithetical to kind of the Jewish and Zionist way of thinking, which is more proactive. It's less victim blaming. Of course, you always have people who want to play the victims, and I think it is kind of a psychological ill if you tend towards this predisposition, instead of trying to fix what's broken in your life and trying to blame it on someone else. Yeah, and I also don't think we do have the kind of conspiracy mindset that is so prevalent in the US, and I think that's for a bunch of different cultural reasons. But if you tend into conspiracy theories, you're much more easily lauded into like the more hardcore stuff. This is like the soft drugs, it's like the getaway drugs. That's how you get into anti-Semitism.
The gateway, yeah.
Yeah, there was a really funny episode in Big Mouth where Andrew, one of the teens, he's Jewish, by the way, and he has a lot of teen angst, and he goes to like a kind of support group for men, and slowly he agrees with them, and then he sees that many of them are like neo-Nazi or something like this, and it was just like a great parody of I think what's happening on like
this same process.
Sorry.
Of this same process.
Exactly. I mean, it's like the gateway drug, because you're basically building on people's resentment and anger. And, I don't like want to ostracize those people, because I do pity them and I think they do need help. And I do think it comes from lack of purpose and lack of supportive environment. I'm not trying to downplay their own responsibility for their lives, but I do think it's a wider societal ill that is something that many people and public intellectuals, authors have described in the U.S. The crisis of meaning, as it is often called. And
Yeah.
I think it's just one manifestation of it, these online cultures. But it is a problem that must be addressed. I'm not even sure if it's something that you could address on like the state level, like the government can do anything. I think it's
No, it's a cultural thing.
no, I do think it's a cultural thing, but I'm just like thinking out loud. I don't think like you could have like a government program to deal with it. I think it's one of those things
I agree.
that like happen in history. Like you could describe it, but I don't think that there is like a simple solution to it, or you could prescribe to people. I think if you give people better idea and hope, and you try to get people the positive self-help stuff instead of the toxic manosphere, which is playing to genuine, genuine grievances that do exist. But instead of making it like a positive, a positive role model, as you suggested before, of how can we emulate someone who takes their pain and utilizes it into something beneficial for them and the society, and does not turn it into hatred towards another group, in a way that gives people purpose. I think that's what you need to do, and I think that's why it's still the battle of ideas on the internet, and it's very important to
Yep.
strengthen the positive, the positive influencers again, and not give more power or credence to people like Clavicular, who I think are broken human beings in of themselves, and are causing a lot of damage to a lot of young men.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so a few things I'll connect to that, and then I'll have to go through some comments that I started, including a super chat, and then we'll have to go. But hopefully next time there won't be as much traffic, and we can hear you more, because I really appreciate your positions, and I think the viewers would appreciate them as well. So basically, I think the hyper individualism is part of the problem. Individualism is good when it's within a larger context. And by the way, the easiest way to get meaning in your life is to be part of something that you consider to be greater than yourself. That's like, as in one sentence, that's that's what the literature says. And I think it's indicative how that is the thing that has been lost. Like, people have been encouraged to be more and more isolated, and then you have less meaning, and then everything falls apart. Okay, so okay, I won't go into this one. All right, so someone asked earlier, may I ask what is goy? Goyish? I don't know what goyish is, but I assume it's goy or goyim. Because Fuentes said, sorry, I'm okay with being thank you for Hashem, please take me. I don't want to be a goy anymore. Goy means nation or people. God said to Abraham, I will make you a great goy. I'll make you into a great nation. And it is also used by Jews to talk about non-Jews. Now, I mean, it's mostly in historical terms, but that's what that's literally what it means. And then sometimes when you look at things and you misinterpret things in the Talmud and so on, then you can get the feeling that Jews think that the goys, like the non-Jews, are lesser or something along those lines. Which, again, some do. I'm not going to say that literally no Jew holds this position. It's just a relatively fringe position. It's not a representative of mainstream Judaism. But that's what goy means. Next, okay, so Freedom to Gargamel is saying that, by the way, Gargamel was a Jewish caricature. It was very anti-Semitic. Once you see it, you can see it. Like in the Christmas episode, he has a menorah. The Talmud says that some people get punished by God after death and go through a process called karet, soul ripping, and it's all in theory. He completely butchered the thing. Yeah, so you're talking about having no souls. Yeah, again, it's a very warped reading of the topic. BS and all. Please explain what you mean by he said some things that are true. Okay, I don't have time to do it today. He being Nick. This was about Nick Fuentes. There are reasons, cultural and historical reasons, self-selection, stuff like that, why Jews ended up being reliably elites in meritocratic societies. I won't go into why, because I don't have time right now, but historically, like, and also in terms of Jewish culture, valuing intelligence and stuff like that, and being persecuted and having to survive that, there's like a pressure cooker to make Jews exceptional, like on average, and stuff like that. So there's like, you don't have to believe in God to see that there's something to it, and to explain why Jews are disproportionately parts of the elites, which Fuentes agrees with. They just say, oh, it's because they cheat. It's not because we cheat, it's for other reasons. And you don't have to be religious to understand those reasons. I might talk about it some other stream. If you're interested, then ask me and I'll talk in more depth about it next time. Boboism, thank you for the super chat. For a safer, free, and more Swedish Sweden. Amen. So Amberly wrote something, but I didn't understand what she said. There were many comments going on, and I couldn't put everything together. So I'm sorry, Amberly. I know you thought I was ignoring you. I wasn't. I was just, it was hard to follow. Joshua is asking, do they shut down the internet in Israel for Shabbat? That's what I was told. No, that's wrong. Yeah, I mean, religious people don't use the internet on Shabbat, but since not everyone is religious or Jewish in Israel, and since it's a state with equal rights for everyone, it would not make sense for these rules to apply to everyone. That's also why you can buy pork in certain places in Israel, because not everyone is against pork. Okay. Bobo, after 7 years in Israel, I hate the Israel deep state. Okay, that's a different topic. We can talk about it some other stream. In Friend to Government, we go to the army, dude. We're forced out of our parents' house, and it gives us a purpose and builds character. Yes, that's also one of the reasons Israelis are, on average, I think, more mature than people in their age, especially young adults, like in their 20s, precisely because of that. Okay, and I think that's it. All right, everyone, this is an order. Go watch Armin's stream with Monkey. Now it's on Liberty Politics. It's on the channel. If you're watching on Liberty Politics and you're not subscribed to my channel, but would like to hear more from me, this is my channel. I also have a podcast channel with Atal. If you're interested in hearing us talk together, we're gonna have to find time to do it, but we can put the link in the chat to that as well. So far, we've interviewed Armin, actually, and that was a very interesting conversation. If people are interested. Can you quickly find the channel? Do you want
to? By the way, I see that YouTube removed it. Someone said it's hate speech. So,
what's hate speech?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with that. So, I don't know if I can give a link to it right now. Maybe in another stream.
Oh, okay. But it being, I mean, I'm talking about our, like, above the noise.
Yeah. They flagged it for some reason as like hate speech.
What? Like, that's crazy. We have one video up. It's interviewing Armin. Oh, that's insane. Okay.
One sec.
Anyway, so help us fight the system. Here's the link. Putting it in the chat. So far, we have precisely one video there. And apparently that video with Armin has been flagged for hate speech. This is insane. Okay, everyone, Armin has already started with Monkey, so go to their conversation. We're going to end it now. And if you're interested in talking to me or to Armin or to Ali, join the discussion group using the QR code or the link in the description. Yeah, and that's it for today. And hopefully you'll be able to have a larger conversation with Atal some other day. I hope to be able to stream tomorrow, but might not have access to the room, so we'll see. All right. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. See you next time. Bye.